My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are continuing our discussion of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, the console RPG released by Nintendo in 2004. Please listen to part 1, unless you're one of those little freaks who only listens to stuff out of context.
Mm-hmm. And if you actually accidentally picked up Papist Mario, The Thousand-Year Door, that's about a different kind of Mario.
Yes.
The Italians are a Catholic lot, but it's a very different game.
Yes. It was weird that Nintendo decided to make that.
Yeah, well, they're getting a little bit more open-minded. The eShop is literally 90% hentai now. Yeah. And they're not hiding it. It's all games like Hentai High School and Hentai Harem.
Yeah.
It's mostly that now.
Yeah, that's why I stopped checking the new shit. Yeah.
It's really discouraging.
Uh-huh.
It's all, porno shovelware.
It's not even porno. It's just called that. Like I've looked into those and they're not even porn games. They're just called it to try and trick people into buying it.
Are they calculators? Like what are they actually once you open them up? Are they
backgammon?
It's
just little. I've not bought one. It's just mobile slop is what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I never would have thought that Nintendo would become the worst online store.
Yeah.
But I run into that way more than I do on Steam or Epic or what have you, or GOG.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much more crap.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, not crap. We don't love it either.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it crap.
No.
It's Hentai Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is different. So last episode we started our quest. Basically, we are going and gathering the stars here, the doodads, to open the Thousand-Year Door or prevent it from being opened, as we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And also kind of half rescuing the princess at the same time.
Yeah.
And going through a series of colorful zones.
Yeah.
To do so, organized by chapters.
At the very least, we're through chapter 3, the interminable wrestling chapter.
Yes.
And now we're in chapter 4 for Pigs the Bell Tolls, which is not a pun, not a joke.
Not a pun.
It's not anything.
There's no reason for it to be pigs either.
Yeah.
So we arrive in Twilight Town, which looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the citizens, of which there are like 9, turn into a pig. A new one turns into a pig whenever this creepy steeple rings.
Yes.
Rapidly running out of citizens.
Right.
Yeah.
They're turning right in front of you. Like you go to talk to the mayor and says, yeah, it's whatever's happening at Creepy Steeple is calling that. And you can have the crystal star if you want, but like as we talk to people, the bell rings and they are turned into pigs, like little papercraft pigs. It's they're the little 3D folks.
Cute.
Yeah.
So we explore a little bit more and we talk to the citizens, figure out what's going on. The shopkeeper has a pig she thinks is her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 3 starving kids whose mom turns into a pig, which could have went so much darker. Like jackpot. But doesn't.
That is one of the things. Like Paper Mario generally has one joke, which is what if this took forever?
Yes.
But the other joke that almost approaches it is something incredibly dark happening, but them subverting it a little bit and making it no, actually it's not this fucked up thing.
It's only not that fucked up thing because nobody has to eat.
Yeah.
Like in this, like it's. I don't want to give them credit for that. I think that it is a thing. I don't think that's something they're teasing with on purpose.
They do that a few other times though, where it's like, oh, it seems like this person died a horrible death, and then actually no, they're okay. Yeah.
They do that a couple times, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
An example of derogatory things that this game does, you get to the gatekeeper. They say you cannot leave the gate unless you get permission from the mayor. The idea is we go back to the mayor, who turns out to a pig, but then we go back to the gatekeeper's a pig.
Mm-hmm.
Why for? People are turning to pigs. There's 3 people left.
Yeah.
What do you mean I need a pass? And then it's just to make you go back and forth. You spend a lot of time backtracking in this game.
What if it took forever? Yeah.
What if it took forever? The road to the steeple is very flat, very simple. We're mostly getting stronger variants of normal enemies we've fought before.
Yeah.
So like hyper Goombas.
Mm-hmm.
Like regular Goombas.
Yeah. And crazy daisies. These are flowers that'll sing to put you to sleep and then run away. They're usually thrown in to mix up with other things to put you to sleep and then leave.
Yeah. In the back row.
Yeah.
Again, like most of the statuses just being take a time out.
Right.
A fallen tree blocks our way, and we can use coops to nab the key that rests behind it, which we can then take back to the item shop and get into the back room, where another cursed chest does the monologue, the joke, and gives us the ability to roll up into a tube.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Hate the cursed chests, but I love all of these little curses where you get to do paper transformations.
It's a good idea, and the tube is faster.
Mm-hmm.
We just got our run companion, but here's one you don't have to switch out, which is nice.
Yep.
This allows you to pass through low gaps, like through this fallen tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you reach this straw hut that you have to blow over with Flurry's breath power. When we say this area looks cool, it's because everything has this kind of crosshatched kind of look to it. It's like a textured illustration approach.
Yes.
Yeah. So we reach the creepy steeple itself. It's this big, scary church-looking thing, and the way in is to roll under a fence. There's some very bad design here, which is...
This sucks.
Yeah. There's a well in the foreground with a cover over it that has the X, so you can butt stomp through it. That's not where you're supposed to go. And if you get down there and you fight all of these little, beetle things that are, completely immune to you, like if you think that is the way to go, if you didn't spot the little gap, the hint system will tell you, I don't think we're supposed to be here yet. Maybe come back later.
We're supposed to come back later. And you could gate that. It is a game about gates.
Yeah.
You would just need to make that something you can only get in with Vivian's power.
Yes.
The end. Like it would have been very easy.
Yeah.
You get inside the steeple, you find a treasure chest and a bunch of boos flat out. Again, one of the best all-time designs of an enemy ever.
Oh yeah.
The last one quizzes you how many escaped. It's over 200.
Yeah.
Or it's 200 rather. It's the biggest number.
Yeah.
Just a lot of them came out.
Yes. Flooded the screen with them. And now the main room, like kind of the sanctuary of this, has a whole bunch of boos in it. And you can't stay in the main hall for too long or else they will swarm you and then carry you outside. So you have to kind of be real quick about zipping from one door to another.
You got to hustle.
Yeah.
The way forward involves this movable staircase in the back room. You hit switches on this walkway outside the building to cause the staircase to move between 3 doors. So you go into 3 different zones.
Yeah.
The nearest door leads to the steeple key. The middle door is just open air. It's a kind of a trap. And the far door is where you use the steeple key. There. And you climb.
You climb you find the culprit. The culprit is this goofy ghost. It's a bedsheet ghost, not a boo. That has a party hat on and is wearing a bow tie. He's very annoyed that we interrupted his relaxation. He just wants to sit in his armchair and ring that bell and pig-a-thigh people.
Smash that bell.
No.
So we get into a fight. And before the fight, he scans Mario and turns into Shadow Mario. And this is pretty cool, I think. It's a cool idea. You fight somebody with their own moves. It's really simple, and you get the crystal star easily, but you didn't think it could be that easy because as you go to leave, you get this cutscene, Shadow Mario gets up. And it turns out the ghost actually vice versa to you.
Yes.
You're the Shadow, and it's the Mario, and off taking credit for all your stuff. This is probably my favorite chapter in the game.
Yeah.
I think this is the most interesting. I think it still has a bunch of backtracking, and I don't think the gameplay is great in this.
Yeah.
But in terms of concept, that's solid.
Yes.
You know, like that's interesting.
You get to, like follow your party around, and like there's like, it doesn't seem like Mario's talking more than he usually does.
Yeah. And they're still kind of loyal to you, even though, you turn into a real asshole. Yeah. I dig it. I think this is fun.
Yeah. Like mechanically, there are chapters that I like more. Like the end dungeons, I think are okay. But like as far as concept of, like this little mini arc, this 4-issue run of the comic series or the manga series that is Paper Mario, like this is cool.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I think the end dungeons I would like more if they came a little earlier.
Yeah.
For me, they suffered a little bit from being heavily over it.
Yes.
But that's not really their fault. It's just, it's the rest of the game's fault.
Right.
We get a cutaway to Beldam and the Shadows arriving in Twilight Town. And Beldam is blaming Vivian for losing their super bomb. This is what she does, is she loses something and then yells at her sister about losing it.
Yeah. So we travel back to town as Shadow Mario, and we run into, Doppel Mario, who taunts us and says like, hey, I didn't just take your appearance, I took your name too, and I'm going to erase you for good and then just live the good life basking in your fame.
Yeah. Single white female him.
Yes.
So he says you get one chance to get your identity back if you can guess my name. And we cannot put our name, even if we know it, because the letter P is missing from the text input.
Yes.
We get a fight and we can't do anything. We just run away.
Yeah.
Heading to town, and we find Vivian looking for the super bomb among the weeds. We help her find it, reassure her when we discover that it is broken. And this is the second time we've kind of shown a little bit of sympathy to her. So she offers to help us get our name back. She's sick of her, one sister who is just a non-entity and one who is a real jerk.
Yeah, one sister who is pre-verbal and the other one, is kind of domineering. Yeah. This is where the line is that changed to confirm, like, oh yeah, they've been giving me a hard time ever since they thought I was their brother. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Vivian is trans in all the other countries that this got localized to. That was just kept as it was. In America, it was changed. In one other country, I'll say it was changed. If I remember the trivia,
I can't remember.
It's a gamer shitheads absolutely losing their mind between censorship and transphobia and trying to decide which one they care about more.
Yeah.
It's
like that joke about putting a piece of buttered toast on the back of a cat.
Exactly.
Since it always lands butter side down, but the cat always lands feet first, it'll hover.
It just floats.
It's just
floats.
like, localization or transphobia. Yeah. Oh no.
What did I choose?
Actually, no, the answer is misogyny.
They'll and also they'll probably porque no los docet somehow. The thing about I like this as representation. Not a whole lot happens with it.
Nope.
I think Vivian is a little bit of a prisoner of being in a game with really shallow characters.
That's the thing.
Right? It's cool that it happened. It's cool that it happened in a game that is aimed at kids, in a Nintendo game, in a flagship title.
Yeah.
All that stuff's fucking awesome. Yeah. Like, give me more of that. That should, Yoshi should have been trans, in Super Nintendo. That's great. But because this game is so talky and I hate all of the characters so much because they don't do anything, all she is trans and nice.
Yeah.
There's no other thing. She doesn't even get most of the other characters at least get a little bit of a thing.
Yeah.
Coop says before he does stuff.
Yeah.
Yoshi tells people to fuck off before he does stuff. She doesn't get a thing. She's just nice.
She's just kind of timid and nice and, timid, nice and cute, right? A couple of her skills are about kind of beguiling people, right? Just
that's all cool.
Yeah, love it.
In no way am I trying to underplay that.
Yeah.
I just wish that this representation and that's asking for something that Nintendo doesn't do.
Right.
But it makes me wish that it happened in a game with more robust development, with characters.
Yeah, doesn't need to be a very special episode or anything, but
no. Just have it. Yeah, you're gonna do it, dude.
Make something of it. Yeah.
She ends up being a one-dimensional character unless you count just being trans as a character thing, and then she's two-dimensional like everybody else. Koops is nervous. The bomb guy we're gonna find is salty.
Yeah.
And tragic, they all have just one thing, and it bums me out. I was expecting, when I read about this controversy before I played this game, I was expecting more hay to be made of it.
Yeah.
More than one or two lines referencing it.
It's just the one, really.
Yeah, just the one. It's weird. I don't know.
Also,
I'm not trying to underplay representation. Representation.
No, it's great. I the only thing I would change would be for it to be more involved. A little bit more impactful, right?
The ending of it bums me out as well.
Yeah,
it used to be worse though. They patched that.
Yeah.
So.
But it's
that's Vivian.
It's also weird because this is a chapter about identity too.
Yes.
It's like,
yeah. I mean, as much as any of these chapters can be about anything.
Right.
To that degree. So her field map ability is Veil, which lets you hide as a shadow underground. And you can use this to eavesdrop on people and birds or let threats pass overhead. And then her combat ability is fire-based.
Yes.
She has this thing called Jinx Finger, which inflicts burning, damage over time. And then her ultimate, she's worth investing in because she has a really good inflict burn on everyone.
Yes.
That was useful all game.
That is a key. It's her and Bobbery have the attack all abilities that can end up being a very good, kind of keys to the end game.
And Bobbery, you have to upgrade as well to get it, So it's you're kind of choosing your poison because you can't have them both.
Yeah.
Picking which one you want. Bobbery, I think, is worse out of the box than Vivian.
Yeah.
I ended up using Vivian and Yoshi basically for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Vivian can attack anyone she wants,
Yes.
Her attack is effectively just a jump, whereas Bobbery can only attack the front ranks.
And we'll get to Bobbery in a moment, but Bobbery's attack all thing has that turn delay, which is fatal.
Yeah.
His initial attack all. So we go around, you listen to crows. She says, hey, we should try listening to birds. And you go, I guess, pigs, birds, whatever. You do this. It's kind of cute. That they have cute jokes.
Yeah.
One of them knows Mario's an imposter. One has anxiety about peak oil. That's cute. I think.
Another one is like, oh yeah, did you hear about this guy? He's got 100 megabits connection. He's got the fat pipes.
It's real similar to the Tim and Eric jazz sketch where they start talking about banking. You ever do this online banking? The little title card comes up going banking on it. It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Funny. But you backtrack, of course.
Yeah.
The last crow reveals that the only person who knows the ghost's name is prisoned underneath Creepy Steeple. So you backtrack.
Yes. You return there.
And
you have to enter the basement through the well this time. You kind of push this grate up a little slope and then Veil to get underneath it as it passes over you. And now you're in the lower levels, which gets you to the hidden room with this depressed parrot.
Yes. Abuse parrot. Dupless loves ringing bells and abusing parrots. And if you Veil, the parrot thinks you're gone, and we find out the ghost name is Dupless.
Yes. Mumblecore hero Dupless. Yeah.
Yep. And we also get I acknowledge.
Yes. No, it's not good.
It's just acknowledge. I acknowledge that. It's not horrible.
I knew you got it.
No, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want anyone to be like, man, I can't believe Gary stuck on that slept on that Mark Duplass joke. And I'm like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
We get the chapel key and then the letter P.
Yes.
I like getting the interface element as an actual item.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cute.
Yeah. So we return to the village and we challenge Dupless and we're finally able to name him, right? And he's shocked. We shouldn't be able to do this. He took away the ability quite literally by getting rid of the letter P. So he runs back to the steeple and we have to backtrack back to the steeple.
Yes. It's the worst part about this chapter. When I say this is my favorite, it is still relatively breezy, but it's just this field that you go past, back and forth 6 times.
Yeah. It's this chapter and the next one that I think are the worst for the backtracking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But he's run back there and he's got the help of the rest of the party. And when we go to see them, Vivian is horrified to learn that the shadow she's been helping is none other than Mario, this person that her and her sisters have been trying to stop. We've tricked her.
Yes. Yep. So we do the fight and we can hurt Dupless now. But then eventually Vivian comes back.
Yeah.
She's like, no, you've been nice to me. My sisters are assholes. And Dupless will change who he's cloning. And he fights alongside Goombella. I think he can switch if the battle goes on long enough.
Yes. Yeah.
But that didn't happen for me because he's not actually that hard.
No, it's not much. And I know the timing of all these attacks. So it's actually cool. So we defeat him. Mario gets his body back, but Dupless flees and leaves the crystal star behind him. And we get one of the more useful special moves, Power Lift. where you kind of click on positive icons on this grid as they show up to raise your party's attack and defense.
Yeah, for 3 turns, but significantly. In a small numbers RPG, a +4 to attack and defense is great.
Yeah.
That's huge. We get our interlude with Peach, and Xnot reports to Grotus that the seal on the Thousand Year Door is weakening, just like Beldam said. And then Tech quizzes Peach about what's going on, but this is a way for him to communicate what Grotus's plans are without breaking his programming.
Right.
He's like leading her on to guesses.
Right.
And we find out the treasure behind the Thousand Year Door is a demon soul, and Grotus wants to bring it back to life. Demon souls, eh?
Bring me the...
Yeah, exactly. And the crystal stars can either break the seal or make it permanent.
Yeah.
A design flaw in the door.
Yeah. No, it opens
key will
both
either.
ways.
I guess most keys do unlock it, or lock something forever if you break the key off.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And super glue. Use the great stuff. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a Bowser interlude. This is Bowser learning about Mario heading to Glitzville and trying to fly up there in his little clown car from Super Mario World. But it malfunctions and he ends up in the ocean, and we do a swimming level as Bowser to get back to Rogueport.
Really love these. I think they're cute. These little like metal remixes of the classic music for above ground and music or water and stuff. I think these are great.
Bowserify it.
Yeah. Then we get our next Mario interlude. Mario gets Peach's email that reveals that the next star is on a desert island called Keel Hall Key. And we talked to Frankly. Frankly tells a story of one of the great heroes who beat the demon long ago.
Yeah. And we start asking around and saying like, hey, go to the harbor, see who can give you passage to Keel Hall Key. And everybody's afraid. It's a legendary island where this huge treasure hoard is, but it is guarded by the ghost of this great pirate king named Cortez.
Yes. All of a sudden, there's a ship in the harbor, but we can find out it belongs to Flavio. Flavio has been around.
Yes.
In the bar singing. I hate Flavio.
Flavio, it's just the joke. It is just the what if somebody talked a lot. Yes.
But he stays with you for a long time. This is one of my least favorite chapters.
Yeah.
Chapter 5. And because I was after the last one, I was like, oh, cool. Like we're doing interesting stuff. I don't think the pirate chapter is good. I love the Bobbery design, but I don't want to listen to Flavio.
No.
I would have killed Flavio with a hammer. Like Flavio's got to go. It's weird that he's just a human.
But
he's not the same kind of human you are.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know what Flavio is.
He's just this obnoxious rich dandy. He's a traitor, not like a backstabber, Benedict Arnold kind of guy. Yeah, no, he's makes his money running product, right?
But that is the joke of Flavio.
Yes,
and boy, how'd he get used to it?
Is he he's this blowhard, and I can't decide if he's supposed to be French coded or not.
It's hard to tell. He's in love with this red skull gem he has, which I would be as well.
Well, yeah.
Luigi's there, tells us about a kart race he had to win on Circuit Break Island. His kart malfunctioned at the starting line, but he managed to pull out victory and win another piece of the compass. But his companion, Torque, I love Torque, this beetle with a wrench on his back, said, no, he didn't win. He begged to use the cart and then totaled immediately. I'm going to stay with him until I get my 5,000 coins back for a new cart.
Yeah.
Again, these are cute.
I just love when it's with a beetle with a wrench sticking off the back of him.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm a mechanic.
Yeah, he's kind of like, it's like if you put a spear on the back of Jessica, she's all of a sudden a weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Jessica being your smallest cat.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, not my daughter or wife or whatever for your listeners.
He gave her, we both have female cats with human names. So,
yes, it's a good move.
Yeah. So we leave them there. There are people who are clamoring to play Luigi's Quest. And as cute as these companions are, like I would die for that little cherry bomb. I think the point, the point of taking these jokes and expanding them would just be too. It's not.
Imagine walking back and forth behind the cart track doing random battles.
Yeah,
like it'd be kind of fun just to have Luigi fuck up every time.
Yeah.
The way to do that would be to make it a 5-hour game where you play as the companions and you have no control over Luigi. Like you are just there to fix his mistakes.
Yeah.
And make it breezy. Make it like they should have been you could have made it like a DLC, like a Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
For this, but make it breezy as shit. But that's not how this series works. They wouldn't do it.
Nope.
So he's happy. Flavio's happy to have the map because we have the map now. And he's like, well, I'll take you as long as I can keep the treasure. You get the crystal star. However, we need a navigator. It's hard to get there. And there is a legendary navigator in Rogueport, Admiral Bobbery. But we go and talk to him and he will not talk to us. We had to break in through his chimney to get to him. And he will not talk to us because he's in mourning.
Yeah. We can go talk to the bartender and find out that Bobbery has been depressed ever since his wife, Scarlet, died while he was at sea. He should not have gone out. She fell ill and, was gone. This horrible, this awful act that this bartender did. Scarlett left a letter.
Yeah.
With him
never got around to it.
Yeah, no, I just never. It's it really evens out the leg of this table, so it doesn't wobble anymore. So
it's exactly Jay Gould being like, "I'm gonna be honest, Lisa, I never ran the test," and then just walking away for no reason. It's exactly as satisfying as that. Frustrating.
But he gives it to us, and we take it to Bobbery, and he reads it out loud, and it's this very sweet letter saying, you should go back to sailing. It's
your first love.
Yeah, don't
give up both your loves.
Yeah, and so he's on board. Quite literally, we hop on the ship and we shove off. But we quickly see, because they underline it, we've got this one of the crew members as an ex-naut in disguise.
Yes. And this starts the second longest chapter in the game, The Key to Pirates. Not really a pun or anything.
Could say the pirate key, right?
Sure. That would make a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
And I understand the double meaning.
Yes.
So we're on open water, and this horde of blue flame ghosts swarms the ship and causes it to wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And we get these little interludes of Captain Flavio's log about setting up camp on the shore of the Keelhaul Key. This is the joke of Paper Mario.
Yes.
They're long.
Yes.
But we wake up on the beach to this small town with a shop for just us.
Yeah.
That Flavio's men built.
Why not? We got to have capital. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find Flavio, the morale is deteriorating, which is he's arguing with this Bob-omb crewmate, and then the blue flame ghosts attack again. Keen-eyed people will notice that the blue flame ghosts in this are the model for Waffle, the little logo. Yeah. I just did a search. I did a search for Mario Fireball to base a pixel version off of, and this was the one that I liked the best.
Yeah. If you're Nintendo listening to this, that didn't happen.
It's distinct.
It's distinct.
Mm-hmm.
So Flavio sent us out to the rest of the island to see if we can find more crew that have turned up.
Yeah.
The main enemy, again, in this thing that I'm going to keep harping on because I feel like it's a problem, most of the enemy's tactics in this game, despite the fact that this is more tactically interesting than a lot of console RPGs, involve delaying you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So the main enemies, we have these fuzzies in this, and they multiply. They're just, if you can kill them before they multiply, good. If not, though, you just get another fuzzy to fight.
Yeah.
Like, nothing really happens. It's the idea of putting you in stasis.
Yeah. I mean, it's trying to set up like, oh, you want to use an attack that is attack all, but you can't go back and upgrade either Vivian or Bobbery at this point to make that happen. So,
and if you did it before, like, it's still also, it just kind of, it's a step more in complication, but like I had upgraded Vivian because I had enough things left over. I wasn't upgrading people I didn't like, generally. So I upgraded Vivian. So I had that, the next level of her thing. There are multiple levels of that, multiple tiers.
Mm-hmm.
You eventually can do the better ones. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But just using that much FP for every one of these encounters also just felt like it was there to make you make more trips back to town.
Mm-hmm.
There's this weird, like, we're trying to hold you in place feeling to this.
Yeah.
Sometimes. More successful are piranha plants. I think they can poison you. You really need to guard there, because if you guard, you don't get the poison.
Mm-hmm.
And the poison does damage over time until the battle ends. There's no like poison cure.
Yeah.
In this.
So we find 3 other people trapped by some ghosts on this rope bridge. There's a random toad, there is Bobbery, and there is the disguised X-Naut. And Bobbery, figuring he has nothing to live for, sends the others away so that he can explode and take out the spirits, right?
Suicide by Island.
Yes.
The X-Naut addresses the player directly. The little fourth wall stuff, and the player remarks how weird that is. They did it. Okay. You go beyond the bridge. We find Bobbery, and he's convinced he's dying. And he wants one last drink of his prized Chocola Cola.
Yeah.
So we have to go back. We go back and we ask Flavio about the cola. And he says, I found it, but it counts as rations. You need to find something to replace it.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back and to go grab a coconut. There's a coconut in the background of one of the jungle screens.
Yeah.
Then you go back. And you get the give him the coconut, then get the cola, then give the cola to Bobbery. So 4 trips in that 2 sentences.
Yep. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Fighting these little multiplying fuzzies every time you can't get around them.
Yes.
So Bobbery drinks the cola and lies down to die. I love that they didn't change the Sprite on the bottle. It's clearly wine.
Yeah.
This is a thing. This is a thing. Like it was a thing in the 4th Phoenix Wright game where like, oh, this is just juice, guys.
Yeah, the juice bar.
Yeah,
That's
very
classic.
funny boulderization. Yeah.
What is it? I remember the first time I think I noticed that was Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom at the juice bar, and then having to give the garlic bum some juice. And I was like, this is like not very kind to unhoused people, but also like even as a kid, I was like, come on.
We all know this. Yeah, but he lies down to die, but he's just laying there with his eyes closed. You have to bonk him with a hammer or jump on him, and he wakes up thinking, oh, I'm in the afterlife. There's adventure here too. But he realizes, oh, I'm going to live. And this is when he joins the party.
Yep. His field ability is Mario throws him. He walks a few steps and blows up. His combat ability is to go up and explode at an enemy. And then he has his next one that you get is one that throws bombs using the Yoshi's Island moving aiming reticule.
It's like Parakarry's ability in Paper Mario 1.
Yes.
Like it, and the reticle will go up and down. You want to make sure that you time it right, because if you do it while it's too far up, it'll land in your ranks and it'll blow up. I think it takes 2 turns for these to blow up, and a lot can happen in 2 turns in this game.
Yeah, it's not the next turn. It's like the turn that you do it doesn't count.
Right.
So it's 2 turns, and you can do good damage in a good area with this, but it's only really useful for like group boss fights.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 2 turns, both in terms of like enemies dying. So you run into the Final Fantasy 1 thing where you're blowing up a spot where enemies don't exist anymore, or just opportunity cost. Like wasting a turn to do something that won't pay off for 2 turns. Like you're not adding to the board in Magic parlance.
Yeah. So it's not quite optimal. He does have good attack power on his basic attack, but by this point, other people are upgraded to the point where that doesn't necessarily make that much of a difference.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about him. He's a little sailor Babam with a little pipe, and then his back he has a steering wheel.
Yeah, instead of the wind-up key. It's great.
Yeah, he looks like a miracle. Like the visual design in this game is impeccable. Like these are great little guys. I wish I liked using him, or I liked his, and I guess I do like his story more than some other stories.
Yeah.
Like him being this widower. Unusually tragic.
Yes. Yeah. So beyond where we found Bobbery, there's this kind of little lagoon, and there is a skull-shaped rock kind of set into this cliff that is blocking our passage. And there's a slot in the eye of this skull where the red skull could slot in, the one that Flavio was singing about in the bar. Like this is his family's treasure.
So we head back, ask him. He's reluctant, to hand over the heirloom, but he'll do it if he goes with us. So we go back. That's another trip right there. One end of the map to the other. We place the gem, and these 2 statues pop up. There's a tall one with a blue mustache and a short one with a red mustache. And Flavio sings a little song that he remembers that is the riddle. Yeah.
So the song, the relevant instructions are 3 times red stash lands on his end, blue stash's belly 4 times is whacked. I want to see if I am as stupid as I think I am. For all the world, because that is the only clue that it gives you. Red stash landing on his end, and then 4 times on the belly is whacked. I thought that red stash landing on his end, it was just like, okay, you need to like hammer both of these guys from the front, because I'm thinking red stash lands on his end. If you fall on
he's going to land.
Yeah. So
he's going to fly back like Iron Jar Alexander.
Yes. Yeah. Did you get confused on that, or did you know exactly what you needed to do here?
So this isn't a brag. I knew what to do because out of contempt. You're right. That is what it suggests. But I was like, they wouldn't just have it do that. I just have to do one. This is a game with such limited keys and locks. I have 2 keys and there are 2 locks. Of course I do one on one and one on the other.
Yeah.
Like I was metagaming it out of lack of trust for the design.
Okay. Yeah.
But you're right. It's unclear. Like, and it's not even unclear in Pursuit of a Rhyme.
No.
Like, why would they do that? He doesn't land on his end.
No.
You do. You know? Yeah, at best.
Yeah. So I thought it was just saying like, hey, you know, hit the red statue 3 times and hit the blue statue 4 times. So I tried this a bunch of times, and if you get it wrong, it sends down these ghosts, and you know they can inflict burn and actually deplete you pretty badly.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you have to do is for the red one, you have to butt stomp it from the top.
Yes.
Which I guess would also get it to land. I don't know. It's
you land on your end though. It doesn't land on its end, and you're not the red stash. Like you are dressed in red, but you have a black stash.
Yes.
So I don't know. And it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
You do this. It opens up the Skull Rock, and you can throw Bobbery in to blow the wall open. Flavio takes his gem and goes back to town. Luckily, you don't have to escort him. In a big surprise to Gary.
And this gets us into the dungeon for this chapter, which thankfully doesn't have a whole lot of backtracking to it. This is a like an underwater cave, the Pirate's Grotto, that is kind of full of these shipwrecks and spike traps. You can use Yoshi, aka Rudiger, to sprint past some, and Vivian's Veil can help you get past the others.
Yeah. Every once in a while, we get warned by a ghostly voice to leave. This introduces a monster, an enemy design that I also think is interesting, but ended up not. This is the only thing I consistently ran from. Bullet bill cannons. So these will be stacked up with 2. They will shoot out a bullet bill, which is also a creature who waits 1 turn and then kind of kamikaze attacks you.
Yeah.
Like runs forward and attacks you. You can kill them, but then you're not killing the source.
Right.
Of them. And it just takes a really long time. This is where I found out where I was like, I'm not finding this game particularly hard. So I'm not worried about the XP. I'm getting most of my XP from bosses. If I jump on this and run, you are invincible for a while after running. So you can just run past enemies.
Yeah.
And after the first one where like it had spawned multiple bullet bills on me, it wasn't hard to get past. It just took longer in that like, we're trying to slow you down. We want you to be dealing with bullet bills rather than the source. I was just like, fuck this. I'm just going to run past these for the rest of the game.
I think the interestingness of this encounter doesn't, like part of it comes from the fact that, you know, they're little creatures who do the kamikaze attacks, but also like they shoot out on the map. You know, they will shoot bullet bills that if you hit, you get into like a little mini encounter with them. I also think that's kind of neat in that it uses the enemy and the space in a way that other ones do not. Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, I agree. I just didn't end up fighting any of the generators.
There.
There
are also big pink bombs that don't really do anything. They start joining the audience and they take up 2 seats, but don't contribute as much star power.
And if they're going to give me a Paper Mario with a pink bomb, it should be Bombette, my girl.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So the way forward is through this floodgate. It requires a winch to open. So we do this counterweight elevator puzzle. To get the key that's in the foreground. We find another cursed chest to do the joke. This joke gives us the boat form.
Yeah.
Like the airplane form, you can only do it on certain platforms. It's not like a freestanding ability to get into water.
No. Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
So
we go through we can now get the handle with that. We boat past some waves. I kind of like how this is set up. You walk past it. Like it's just a detail, you know, without necessarily thinking you're going to be down there dealing with it.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with it, which I kind of like.
Yeah. Have to kind of zigzag between them. And the waves look neat. They're like curls of paper rolling down, which is cool. And we reach a cave where a bunch of toads from a previous expedition are all kind of like stacked up and trapped on this small island.
So we free them. We use paper plane form and find out Dom Panada's daughter and her husband is here. All right.
Okay.
Cortez's ship has just passed us. We get there and he's tired of us. Like we've been ignoring his warnings. So he starts the fight right away here. And he has a bunch of attacks. He kind of goes through phases.
Yeah.
He's a big pirate skull and he creates these bone arms that can wield different weapons that kind of go through.
Yeah. I like this boss fight. It's good.
Yeah, this is good.
He has a couple of different phases, a couple of modes he can go into. The kind of the most dangerous one is where he picks up all of his different weapons, and they're arrayed like projectiles, and you have a turn to take out as many of them as you can before they kind of launch at you and become dangerous.
Or buff your defense.
Yes.
Like it's a good time to use that lift up.
Power lift, yeah.
Yeah, power lift. Yeah. When he it seems like he's defeated. He comes back, but when he learns all we really want is the crystal star and not the rest of his money, he hands it over.
Yeah.
Which gives us Sweet Feast, which is the power up to Sweet Treat in terms of a heal, and is very potent.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ends up being the main special attack I use in the game because of the limited inventory. I like to use those slots for attack all items. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice that it allows you that freedom. Like you can either load up with healing, items or and you can kind of make those two things interact.
Yes. Yeah. So it seems like we're done. We have the crystal star. When we go back out to the coast, though, by blowing our way out of the cavern, Flavio A is upset to learn that we didn't take the treasure, but B gets very upset when we're interrupted by an attack from the X-Nauts. They've kind of put together this pirate ship, and Lord Crump is leading cannon barrages on us.
Yeah. We don't have a ship to fight them because our ship crashed. But we rush to Cortez and ask for assistance, and it turns out that the skull gem that Flavio has will power the ghost ship. It also opened a random door.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier, just because I don't know. Why not?
Why not?
And there's a big cinematic cannon battle. We eventually board the X-Naut ship and then attack Crump for a second boss fight of the chapter.
Yeah. This is neat.
This is fine too. I like this. Like he's using the rafters. I was looking at stuff because I was researching this before we started recording it. I was looking at obscure mechanics and things.
Yes.
Rafters are super obscure in this. There's only a couple. This is one of 3 encounters.
It's this Rock Hawk and what else?
The bats that cling to the ceiling.
Yeah.
From Super Mario World, but almost nothing uses them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But yeah, he's kind of commanding his hordes to attack you. He will have them hang from the rafters for a turn, and then they'll do drop attacks on you. Or he will ball them up into a big old Granfaloon and roll them over you.
Yes.
It's cute aesthetically, but not terribly hard. Paper Mario.txt.
This goes to our interlude with Peach. Crump reports to Grotus, who's furious at him for losing another crystal star. And Tech has Peach mix up an invisibility potion so she can sneak into Grotus's office and take a data disk. This is a little mini game where you get instructions and you just have to follow them.
Yeah.
The whole process takes forever. If you miss a step, you just start over.
Yeah.
I'm in hell. You go in and then get the data disk, though.
Yeah. And it'll take a while for Tech to analyze it. Bowser, meanwhile, Bowser and Cammy have arrived in Twilight Town. And they run into Crump. And this turns into what seems like it's going to be a huge battle between their armies. Crump has all of his X-Nauts, and then, Bowser has Cammy warp in all of his Koopas and stuff. It's fun seeing all these little dudes flooding the screen. But then the super bomb that Beldum dropped, which we thought was broken, ends up going off and stops it from starting. Cute little comic beat.
We got our next interlude here. Cortez says we can use the ship to sail back anytime. But Frankie and her husband want to stay there and make a life on the island. This drives me nuts. This happens because we just have to go back and get him immediately.
Yep.
Like the proximity of these two events is jokerifying.
Yeah.
We go back to Doc. We get another Luigi interlude here.
Yeah. Luigi's here with a daisy. And he's talking about going to Jazzafraz Town, where his MacGuffin, part of this marvelous compass, was a prize in this drama contest. His troupe performed The Mystery of the Fiery Hat of Social Awareness, but he got the part of Grass. And he was really upset because he didn't have any lines. He just had to lay there. But it turns out his performance of Grass was bold and groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's funny.
Unpredictable. So he got all these adoring fans, and he talked to Hazy, and she is the first of the companions to say, like, no, actually, he fucking played the shit out of that Grass.
That Grass. It was good Grass. Yeah. The map points away to this coastal town, which frankly says is Poshley Heights. But the only direct way is through the XX Express, which is very expensive. So we'll need help from the mob again. There's also a little side quest here. The fortune teller who powers up our characters says that she had a vision of a hidden treasure in Hooktail's castle, which again, you just go back.
Yeah.
You know, if you head back, you can get the up arrow, which allows you to upgrade your characters to their maximum.
The fortune teller, an up arrow. Do you know what this means? Yeah. And again, just funny little interface bits. This is one of two things that will take you back to Hooktail Castle. If you are going to do both of them, it will benefit you to do them both at the same time. Because I got this and I was like, well, I know Miss Mouse is optional, so let me go ahead and get her. Turns out you have to take a task off of the notice board. She is the person who did it. She wants you to get a rare badge that is at the end of the Hooktail Castle spoke. So I had to kind of do a little shuttle run.
You go back, they walk left and right. Mario's. This allows you to get her. She can steal. She has a life drain. I want to say she pierces defense. I didn't get her. I just read about her.
Yeah.
I was not hard up for another companion, really.
Yeah, because she is optional, her navigational ability cannot be something that you have to use. Her field map ability is to kind of sniff the air and see if there's like a hidden secret nearby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a fine idea.
Yeah.
But Don Piana is sick. He wants to see his kids, so we had to bring them back. Which means we just have to go right back to the fucking island we just left. And they've only been there for like a minute.
They're not near the beginning. We have to go halfway through. Of
course they're not.
We've got to go all the way to where the Skull Rock was.
Like stretch.
Yeah.
padding.
They lost their wedding ring and we have to go find it for them while they fight. And we have to listen to Frankie tell Francesca, just tell me you love me 100 times. And you think, are we doing this? Is this what we're doing here? And you literally have to tap, as he says, I love you 100 times. A number counter pops up.
A little number pops up, which is a funny little bit. If it wasn't the joke of Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door.
Yeah.
Like, if this had been the only time this happened, I could find this funny and charming.
Yeah.
It's just that it happens so many fucking times. Like, I don't understand how big fans of this can tank the same joke so many times.
Yeah.
It's just, it's at some point, if you just keep rubbing me in the same spot over and over, it doesn't tickle.
It'll develop a sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually you just like cruise on through and you get to the bone. You're polishing bone. Like, that's why I'm just screaming at my Switch. You're polishing bone with this. There's no more meat on that. That chicken wing is dead. Like, just let them take it. You can't just keep working this puzzle. You've got the marrow. You've got all the meat. You've got all the cartilage. Everything is edible about this. You've eaten the bone. There's nothing less left edible on this joke.
Yeah. Contrast this with something that happens in Super Paper Mario, which seems like it's going to do this very same thing. There's a character who says, in this next challenge, you have to run on this treadmill for 30 minutes. And you're running on this and there are two ways out of it. You can hop off the treadmill and figure out, okay, like there's a way around this. I can do it. Or you can just hold right for 30 minutes and get through it, which I think is funny because there's a way out of it. Or you can just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, and then it turns out you can. Yeah.
It's really similar to discourse around like something we have to do for adaptation decay at some point, even though it's not strictly on topic, is Get Lamp.
Oh, yeah.
The interactive fiction documentary, which is really interesting. And looking at those nerds fight about the virtue of mazes.
Oh, yeah.
Is really interesting because in that design, an interactive fiction design, mazes used to be considered a padding thing, but a virtuous way to pad.
Yeah.
And then taste changed against that because I feel like gamers in general have turned against padding. And what they started doing, though, because it's such a tradition, is including like a Por qué no los dos. They leave mazes in where the maze is not a maze, it's a puzzle. There's a way to just get through it and short circuit it.
I was going to cite the Monkey Island maze, but there is no way to just brute force that.
Yeah. A lot of the interactive fiction ones you can actually just do as a maze if you want to.
Yes. Yeah.
It's similar to that, but this game is saying every time you do the maze, it's just doing it for narrative.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do the maze. It's not an alternative. It's a joke that it's there because there's a lot of mazes in here, but that's it. There's no, there's no allowance for different taste in that respect.
Yeah, it's tedious.
Yeah, I find it very tedious.
Yeah.
So you do this, and then they'll go home. And again, just another backtrack. You get home to Don Pianta, and he retires and gives the mob to Frankie and Francesca to run, and he'll give you as many train tickets as you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we hop aboard and we see,
Yep.
a cutaway Beldam, taunting us, saying, yes, we're going to beat you to Poshley Heights. We're going to get that crystal star before you do. Mwaha.
Yep.
Ha.
Yes. Entering chapter 6, which is also a fun idea.
Yes.
The two most fun ideas in this are this and the identity one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is 3 days of excess.
Although this is incredibly similar to the murder mystery chapter in Paper Mario 1.
100%. And it's also one of the most backtracky things you can do in the game. It's just backtracky without random encounters.
Right.
Which makes it not feel as bad, but it is really, you get to one end of the train, they got some bad news about the other end of the train.
So we're on this incredibly luxurious train. We're in the sleeper car. When we wake up, there is a note on the ground threatening to blow up the train in a sticky, yummy explosion. And so we go take this to the engineer and says, "Oh no, we have to stop this from happening. Please help us." So we need to go do our investigation, which involves meeting the other passengers.
Yep. A fat joke toad, a rich lady, a movie star named Zip Toad, the chef, the maid, a penguin detective, a weaselly businessman, and a family of Bob-ombs.
Yeah.
Who are wealthy.
Right. It's not a weaselly businessman. It is a businessman who is a weasel.
Who is a weasel. Yeah. I couldn't tell exactly what he was supposed to be.
Looked like some kind of
like marmot coated.
Yeah.
Like
so some kind of, what is it, muscalid? Yeah.
Yeah, he's rascal. He's giving rascal vibes.
Mustelid, sorry. Yeah, he's a rascal.
Yeah, he's some kind of rascal. He's a chippy.
Yeah. But yeah, this is our cast of characters who are going to be helping and investigating. We find out that tonight's dinner, this big pot of stew, has been stolen. The chef is a cheap who does not speak our language natively, just speaks cheap. So the joke is he says a word wrong and then corrects himself. I am dying. My side is split. My side is split like that. The gluttony guy from Seven. I'm ruined. I'm dead.
My side is split like the fat toad who stole the stew.
Yes.
Because he's fat, you see. We search his dresser to find it. And the penguin, the joke here of the penguin detective is he's bad. He's not as good. Detective.
He's not as good at being a detective as he says he is.
Yes. And he also, he makes you his assistant. He mistakes you for Luigi.
Yeah.
And calls you Luigi because nobody gets Mario's name right.
It's the joke.
It's the joke. The next mystery is to figure out what the kid Babam wants for his birthday. Fucking mystery. We find out that he wants an autograph from the engineer. This is a little bit of a red herring because you think he's going to want an autograph from Zip Toad.
Yeah, the movie star.
Yeah. But he's not.
Yeah. And the final mystery of this first day is there is a missing blanket. We should have had enough. We did the passenger count, but one is gone when it shouldn't be. And by investigating, asking around, we find out that the culprit is a ghost who is haunting one of the sleeper cars. He says, like, "Hey, I'll give this back and go away if you go find my diary." It's in the cargo car. And my fear of people reading it is keeping me here. But you take it back to him, and he disappears for a second, then comes back and says, "No, actually, I like it here." Then he stays.
Yeah, you can have the blanket. I'll stay here and be cold.
Yes, I'm a ghost.
Day 2. I'm a ghost. I don't know why I took it in the first place. The day 2, you go to bed and you wake up to the penguin and the weasel. There, the weasel says his briefcase containing a prototype nitro honey syrup has been stolen. If a seashell, something gold, is added to that, it will explode.
Yeah, it's the calcium and the gold that'll cause the reaction. So it's
like the Joker Smilex.
Yes. Yeah. So this must be what the person was threatening us with, the sticky, tasty explosion, right?
Yes.
By asking around, we learned that the rich socialite woman, her gold ring is missing, and the toad maid, the serving girl, her seashell earrings have gone missing. So we got a bomb rolling around here.
Yeah.
And by hiding in Zip Toad's room, we can determine that he is the culprit. It's actually an imposter. It's not the real Zip Toad. We're going to learn it's Dupless, right?
Yes. We stop to refuel at Riverside Station, and the Penguin reveals that it's Dupless. As we mentioned, the guards take him away. The bridge is up, so we have to do a little mini dungeon to get inside the station and lower it. This is for platforming.
Yeah.
Here. And it's like, it's not a great game for platforming.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's Mario. You think that they would just say like, hey, let's make it feel like Mario in this part? No, like let's have it be like kind of stilted and you fall off of stuff when you really don't think you should.
Yep. Yeah. And start over from the bottom because this game's trick is to make you start over.
Yeah.
This is what gets us the Ultra Boots, which lets Mario twist up like a spring so he can jump really high. This allows you to knock objects off of platforms and grab ceiling pipes to move along them.
Yes.
And it ups your power for your jump attacks.
Yeah. So we lower the bridge, and on our way out, we are attacked by these soot monsters that we need to have Madame Fleury blow away so we can get past them and get back on the train.
Yep. The train is trucking along, and then soot monsters attack, overwhelming the train. So we have to go outside and fight it and find the missing passengers, while the soot clouds coalesce into a big tentacle monster that attacks us. Who are these guys?
Not explained.
Yeah, it's not Bowser.
No,
coded.
No.
They don't look like they want wealth. There's no wealth to be had for blowing up the train.
Gary, they are the inexorable result of unchecked industrialization.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, it's what the crow is worried about. It's peak oil as an enemy. I see. It's actually a very important theme in this game if you pay attention.
Gosh.
And again, I'm not trying to sound like a shitty pedant, be like, who are these guys? I understand video games where it's like you just have to have an enemy.
Yeah.
But it's like we have two different rival factions in this already, and they've done a pretty good job of making like the things that you fight make sense.
Yeah.
Like at least a little bit, like they're animals that are guarding their spot. This feels like intentional, and Dupless was involved.
Yeah.
In part of this, like I just don't understand why it's not a thing.
It could, it could be working. It could involve the pieces that are already here.
It's like when they made that riddle worse but didn't make it rhyme.
Yeah.
Like there's all these things that like they go part of the way. And then just don't. And again, I understand it's for kids, but kids are smart.
Yeah.
Like I was smart, like as a kid. Kids are smart now. They watch smart, funny stuff.
Yeah. I'm as smart as a kid now.
Yeah, I'm as smart as two kids, depending if they're dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like it kept me up at night or anything. It's just
it's just come on. Like this. It's literally just like any of the text. This could have been something, but you made it not something.
You made the choice not to do it.
Yeah.
Just the idea of things need to have a purpose to be in the art is just not followed.
No.
In this game in a way that's very frustrating.
I grade it incomplete, not in a lazy dev, greedy dev kind of way. It's just you got a bunch of stuff that is kind of shaped like things that would be in a game, but is not. Yeah.
And the gobsmacking thing is it doesn't feel like it would be appreciably harder to tie this in. Like one of these little things would have just had been like greetings from Bowser. Bowser, I want Mario to know it was me, or something like that, and that would have done it.
Right before we hopped on the train, Beldam was like, "Haha, we're gonna get we're gonna get there before you." And they say, "All right, well, doesn't matter that you beat us. We delayed you long enough. Beldam's already got the
And there's gonna be people who are doing bonfireside chat stuff who are being like, "Aha, these guys are agents of Beldam." But is there one fucking thing in this game that is implied and not said? Like of course that's not actually what they did,
right?
Because this game doesn't traffic in that.
No,
if that's headcanon that makes it feel better, that's fine, but it's not the text.
Yeah.
Anywho, you do that. You beat the monsters. You fight its tentacles, disable them, and then you attack its core. This frees all the passengers who are stuck in it, and the train completes its journey. Yes. It's not a very important boss fight.
No. So we arrive in this town. It's 2 screens, meant to be, it's implied to be very nice. I stayed at the very expensive penthouse hotel to see if they would do like they did in a Mario RPG. Like, okay, if we're repeating jokes, let's see if they do it, where you can overstay and then end up having to work off your bill. I was like, no, it's just like an inn, but it costs more.
Yeah, more expensive. The Crystal Star should be at the Poshly Sanctum, but it's locked up because the caretaker is gone. It turns out the caretaker is the Penguin Detective.
Yeah.
With us when we arrive. And we go to the pedestal where the Crystal Star is, but Dupless and Beldam have beat us to it.
Yeah.
They take the star, but the penguin's like, no, that's a fake. Our second fucking fake star.
Yep.
In this game.
So we have to get to the real sanctum, which is in a painting world.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to go up in kind of the upper levels of this of the sanctum to open up the curtain and go through a pipe that puts you into the painting at the back. That is the painting of the front of the sanctum with the door open, and then go through. It's trippy. I like the idea of going into a painting because you're a paper person. It is one of the, I would say, 3 things in the game that is not remarked upon.
That is true. It's also the sequence of doing this involves using your super jump to go on pipes.
Mm-hmm.
You could call it, if you're feeling very charitable, like a navigation puzzle, but you just do the thing that's in front of you.
Yeah.
It just takes longer. Like you go back and forth climbing between 2 different struts, doing super jumps where you can get on little pipes and walk them over.
Yeah.
You get there, and the true sanctum has a bunch of purple ghosts to avoid, but you can do that, and you grab the real crystal star. This is the one that gives you the mega attack, right? That does 15 damage to everything.
It's the gosh,
or is this the
draw? No, this is this is the drawing one.
The drawing one's great.
Yeah.
You draw circles around enemies and you do 3 damage per circle. You have to do it with the control stick, so it's a little bit awkward, but you can rack up a lot of damage with this. I end up using this a lot.
Yeah. It's good, and it doesn't deplete your entire bar like the supernova attack you get later does.
Yeah, which I didn't use very much. I don't think it's very good. We get a little interlude here. Tech calls Princess Peach in. They've finished analyzing the data, and she needs to escape as quickly as possible. However, you're on the moon.
Yeah. So good luck with that. Yeah, and she's like, what's how are we going to do this? We need a plan. And it's like, hey, just write this email. Let Mario know where you are, and then we'll start working to get out of there. She's partway through the email when Grotus interrupts. Grotus has been aware of everything this whole time. And he starts the process to shut Tech down because it is time for Peach to play her part.
Yes.
And whatever she's going to do, he's taking her away.
Yep. Bowser's in Rogueport, very discouraged, after swimming and everything. But Cammy says, hey, our scouts have found a secret chamber beneath the city. This thing I really like, where the basement now, the sewer is now populated with Koopas people, like them refreshing the enemies diegetically. I think this thing is good. And we do another side-scrolling level, this one looking like, underground Mario.
Yeah. Going through some lava tunnels until we reach the underground chamber, which is actually Rockhawk's gym. It's his home workout gym. And Bowser sees the title belt up on the wall, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I've got a crystal star." And Rockhawk is like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he flattens him.
Yep.
Lol.
And fake. Back in Rogueport, Mario gets the email and the party's alarm that cuts off halfway through. I wish that was how emails worked. It's so funny. Luigi's waiting at the station to tell us about his latest adventure. Finding and waking up this young boy who is the last of his empire, guarding a compass piece. And Luigi is able to wake him up because he's a child of fate. But his companion, this onion ghost named Screamy, is completely bought in.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, he is this child of fate. Weird.
Yes. Yeah. Screamy.
Back in town, now that we have this spring jump from the Ultra Boots, we're able to knock this treasure chest that has been taunting us in the center of town. We're able to knock it off of this high tower, high platform rather, and we get our final hammer upgrade, the Ultra Hammer. It's not a new move. It just lets us use our existing moves to break stone blocks.
Yeah, and more powerful. Yeah. There are little exploits you can do to get this right away. One of the other things YouTube served up to me, which I could imagine doing on a replay because you just want to get through it.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to replay for the story. So we, the map reveals the next star is up on the moon. Frankly, sends us away for 3 minutes so he can finish his research. Fuck me. And then tells us we can get to the moon by using a cannon at Far Outpost.
Right.
The road to Far Outpost is behind a rock block that's in the sewers.
Yeah. The rock block is mostly White Snake and Warrant, so it's not the best thing, but it's fine.
I was trying to come up with this one, unlike the Mark Duplass joke earlier. I was working in my head trying to come up with the same joke, and you beat me to it with confidence and assurance, and I'm proud of you.
Okay.
Like that is very good. I was literally compiling shitty bands in my head, and you were way ahead of me, and I love it. Yeah, that was when there was one set of footprints. All
right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sometimes it works out.
No, it works out great. That's great. So now we get to chapter 7. Mario shoots the moon.
Yes. We go to Far Outpost by going through this pipe. It's behind this, and we get to it's Winterland. It's Arctic. A couple of screens of forests that are nothing huge. They're just ice versions of previous enemies. Ice just takes you off the board for a couple of turns unless it's broken. And Far Outpost itself is like this Russian military camp. It is full of all these babams who are wearing ushankas, the Russian hat.
Yeah, cute Russian bombs.
Yes.
Everyone denies that there's a cannon there because this is before Glasnost. And even though there's a big cannon monument right in the center of the town, we're going to talk to the mayor with Bobbery in our party to get him to confess, like, hey, there is a cannon. But there are two people stopping us from using the cannon. The financier, who funds it, which is Goldbaum, the rich Babam dad from the train, who's in Poshley, and General White, who operates it.
Right.
So we need to go track these people down.
Right. We need to convince Goldbob to, give the funding to restart the cannon for us. It's a matter of life and death. And we have to, figure out where this general is. He's gone missing. He got depressed after he lost his job running the cannon.
Yes.
Goldbob's thing is very easy, although it is just the Paper Mario's joke. You go there and he says, well, how much is it worth to you to restart the cannon? You get a couple of options. The answer is to say, like, well, I'll give you all the coins that I have. And he's like, do you really want to give me all my coins? You know what this means, right? Just ask the same questions over and over again to make sure that you're sure. And he says, all right, that's all I needed to hear. And agrees to help, doesn't take your money. Yeah.
Then we go into the Hell Gate Cube.
Jesus Christ.
This is incredible. Can you imagine doing this without fast travel?
No, this is one bullet point in our notes.
Yeah. We're going to say the sentence, and I cannot stress to listeners enough how impactful and boring and shitty this is.
Yeah. So we find out that General White, they say, oh, he was going to this little peasant village or whatever. So you go to Petalburg and you ask around and they say, oh, you just missed him. He went to blank. And it's the next
area that you go to.
Yes.
We're doing a little circuit of all the zones we've been to.
Yes.
The game wants to give us a little goodbye and a chance to go back to these things. It doesn't put new stuff there, and there's not a reason to.
There's not an awful lot of stuff that is like, oh, I couldn't get this before, but now that I have this Metroid power, I can do it. And if you are super enthusiastically engaging with this game, the notice board would have taken you to these places anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminds me, when I think about missed opportunity stuff, something that a console RPG that does a good job of taking you around to places, and there are things that have changed, is Final Fantasy VI.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're looking for people in that, and you end up following a trail, you're discovering new stuff the entire time.
Yes.
Here, I get the sense that it just wants me to go say, bye to my friends. Like, I wonder what Puny's up to.
Yeah.
And I cannot stress enough how much I don't wonder what Puny's up to.
Yeah.
And the port of this has fast travel now. The fast travel is one way.
Mm-hmm.
You travel to the area and then walk back.
Yes.
For every zone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. I don't what is the what is the art purpose of this?
Yeah.
I don't understand sometimes how folk, part of it is I'm hypersensitive to it because of the job, but people who just don't notice this kind of thing. And they do this and they're like, I'm not even going to ask why this is. It's just what the game is. I have to do it because I'm under a goblin's curse. Whatever this game asks me to do, I have to do it. No matter how much it doesn't make sense or disrespects my time.
What's wild is it's not that people don't notice this. We were talking about this in Slack and I brought this up as an example, but if Wind Waker is brought up, There are two things people think of. People think of, the controversy around the art style, maybe. Or they think, oh yeah, there's that weird shitty scavenger hunt where you have to go everywhere at the end of it. Right?
Yes.
And it's like, oh yeah, no, it'd be a great game except for that, et cetera, et cetera. My understanding is it was really tedious. The Wii U update version, the remaster, basically did what this did, gave you a quicker way to go and do it. But it's like, that is attached to that Zelda game as kind of a permanent part of its reputation. And this, in its original form, when people's positive associations with the Thousand Year Door were forming, this never comes up. It is not associated with it at all.
Yeah. This one is it's somehow just not noticed, and I don't understand why.
Yeah,
I just it's a thing too where even when people point it out and they're like, yeah, that did suck, and it's the same thing that happens with a lot of things we just take as enforced.
Mm-hmm.
Granted implies a boon, like things that are done to us that we just accept in games. Like people do complain about them, they just never care enough to stop.
Yeah.
Like you'll go on like a forum and people will complain about backtracking and padding and grinding and all this stuff, and like. You don't have to play games that do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand, like I've the whole time we've done the show, I've said this 1,000 times. I don't like the idea of looking at art of you trade misery for things you like.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like this thing about it, so I'm willing to go through this thing I don't like. I feel like we can expect more. And I think a real minimum that you can ask of your creators, especially creators who are talented as these people are, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Music, aesthetics and everything, kind of concept and everything. There's a lot of like talent and passion that went into this. You can expect them to have a reason to include something.
Mm-hmm.
That is so the lowest bar that could ever be.
Yeah.
This justifies itself artistically.
Yes.
Even if it's not fun, it's trying to do something. Mm-hmm. This isn't like the Metal Gear hallway.
Yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid 4 hallway that's trying to make you tired and feel exhausted like Mario does. It's not to an end.
Yeah,
like
it's literally just for it's just for a punchline, which is General White's been it ends up back in Far Outpost because he's been following in our footsteps, and we've been a step behind because he had this vision. Like it's just a shitty punchline.
It's the joke it's also the joke that they've been doing, which is like, what if something goes on forever?
It just it's the better Nate than Lever copy paste joke. Yeah.
It's also the same joke that is the joke of Bowser, who is one step behind us this entire time.
Yes.
Like not only is it, just a variation on a joke they've been doing, it's the same variation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a variation on the I love you joke, because to wake him up, you have to jump on him 24 times through dialogue. And it's like, I knew what I was supposed to do. With this, because once I got to this, I was like, oh, this can't be what they're doing. I had a full Pointer Brothers. Like, this can't be what this is. And then looked it up, and this wasn't what it was. And I saw it 24 times, and I was like, okay, I'm going to just jump on 24 times. I shudder to think if this would reset if you gave in and quit. Like it keeps saying, are you sure? Do you want to jump on him again? Yeah, every time. Just, I don't know. Fuck me, man. I'm like, I'm a little shitty time piggy for this. Destroy me. Step on my balls. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
I don't deserve better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will eat the slop.
Uh-huh.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah. Expecting games to be better doesn't mean you dislike games.
No. It doesn't mean that you can't have like things about a game.
Yeah.
And then just be like, yeah, but this doesn't serve any purpose. This is objectively bad. Design, this sucks. And there's not recourse for that kind of thing, right? Like you can't mail Nintendo intelligent systems and be like, hey, I like this game, but this part really fucking sucked.
Yeah.
There are devs that listen to feedback. Generally Nintendo associated ones aren't.
Yeah.
Those I find. And if they do, it's on this weird long time scale that largely seems influenced by sales.
That's the thing. So it's by sales. And, I think that this ended up causing a little bit of a crisis in console style RPGs in the 2000s, which is people stopped buying turn-based stuff, right? And so they started doing different things. And then people started complaining, they're not making the games for us anymore, blah, blah, blah. Change generally is demanded, but also punished, sometimes by the same people, but broadly, by different factions within people who would have considered themselves fans of the genre that this game represents.
It's the fact that that happens is the reason why I usually don't have a lot of patience for business-based arguments around your related criticism, because I'm not interested in that. For one, like that's just a personal thing, but two, it doesn't answer. It's a needle. I'm not envious of game creators having to deal with, being punished and rewarded for making changes like that. But that is a good reason not to look at that and instead follow art. I believe games are art. I think people involved in making a game have a design. I think game design is an art. If they did that, this would have never happened.
Right.
Like there's no artistic excuse for it.
Yeah.
So just like, it's just disappointing as from a creator perspective, like disappointed in the creator.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got too passionate and did a water burp. Like it's one of the easiest burps you can ever do. It's great.
Yeah. It's, good Lord. Yeah. I can't imagine, like, all in going and doing the fast travel version of this takes 12 minutes. But it's 12 minutes that add up to nothing. And the entire time I felt like I had bugs under my skin because I was picturing what were they asking of people who bought this 4 years or 20 years ago? Like the fact that anybody ever thought this was okay is like physically intolerable to some small degree.
People feel time differently. And I think that's part of why the most common response we'll get to this is either, yeah, you're right, or it didn't bother me. But the something that has been part of why I enjoy playing games, even before this job, is trying to puzzle out why choices are made.
Yeah.
It's like genuinely very fun and there's a whole industry of this, of which we're part of, but like you look at people who have done YouTube breakdowns of like the first level of Mega Man X or the first level of Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And you see these things that just work, and you see why they were done. There is a Goomba to your right. It's teaching you, you only have 2 buttons. It's going to assume you're going to try to jump. If you don't jump, you get hit. Like it's teaching you. There are reasons behind it. This just isn't, you can't, if you look for that, you're never going to find anything. So part of the reason why I'll feel itchy during this is because a whole part of my brain that is engaged while playing video games is just not able to engage for this. It's like I lose half of it. And then what am I left with is just pressing buttons and reading dialogue that is not funny, and doing fights I've done before.
Yep.
So there's just nothing here for me. Like 12 actually empty minutes. Let's, to prove this point, let's have 12 minutes of silence right now in the episode. I'm just kidding. That's too long. But I do like the idea of it. It would also happen on Teenage Dirtbags. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
All right. I don't want anyone to turn off the episode. Also, you do this long enough, it's uncomfortable not to talk for. Like I'm like, dead air.
Yeah.
So you get this little cute cutscene after you jump on him a bunch. That the bombs bring out the cannon and fire you to the moon. A whole bunch of them are packed in the cannon behind you as an explosion to launch you. Which is a funny job, and luckily they survive. Land on the ground with little parachutes.
Yeah, it's very cute. And we end up on the moon. The moon's surface is just several large screens full of tough enemies. Those little fidget spinners are back. They're tougher, like little like crag enemies, the little rock guys. What you're doing is searching for rocks you can blow up to ultimately open up a pipe that will go to this domed moon base that is in the background.
Yes. And that is a big tech dungeon, this big sprawling multi-floored thing where you get a series of colored keys from rooms that have these electrified tiles to avoid. Each one has a different kind of trick to discern the path. So we're kind of back into some puzzle zone.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, it's fine. One, if it like flashes the tiles the path that you need to take briefly at the start, and then you have to remember which was there. One, it has the pattern kind of subtly implied in the background. Another one, it's like you have to walk really slowly. Another one, you have to walk really fast to kind of like keep up with a little safe island of the proper path. Yeah, neat stuff being done here with kind of the basic variations on premise. It's gameplay design.
Yes, yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You go into the locker room where Peach had changed before, and if you go into the changing nook, you come out as 8-Bit Mario. That's cute. And your companion also changes into an 8-bit version.
Yeah.
That's real cute. And you get to swap them out to see how they look. 8-bit. Nice.
Love it, though this is just a repeat of a joke from Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
True. And Booster's Tower. Yeah.
Yep.
But it is cute to see little 8-bit Vivian, right?
Yeah.
So one room, like you have to get a hold of a gear to reactivate this crane game machine. And this is optional, but it's really good to do it because there are these 2 badges, Feelin' Fine and then Feelin' Fine P, which means it affects your partner. These block all status effects, including damage over time and anything that would deny you turns. Must equip.
Yep. I also love Feelin' Fine. To get the elevator key, you had to win another Thwomp quiz. So that came back. I admire the restraint in waiting so long to bring that back. When you get all the security key cards, you get into the lowest levels of the base, and there's a platforming along these turning gears and moving platforms. The platforming in this game is not good. I appreciate it as breaking things up a little bit. I just wish it were better.
Yeah, I wish it were better, right? Yeah. And they would eventually make a game around it in Super Paper Mario. Yeah.
You eventually run into Lord Crump again, and he fights us with his new robot, Magnus von Grapple 2.0. It says it's kind of doing the Bullet Bill thing. It has drill arms that become projectiles. They have to destroy because they'll attack. Similarly spawning a monster that goes and attacks us, basically.
And does big drill diving attacks that he will kind of call out. Basically, every trick that we're going to see in the end game has already been put on the board.
Yes. We take him out. The explosion from his mech launches him into deep space, and this gives us the final crystal star, which gives us supernova, which does 15 damage to everything. Yeah, which is a lot of damage and everything, but it just takes up your full meter, which it makes it kind of a bad value proposition. Yeah, I find
you get the heals, you get the buffs, you can generally get more
than 15 for their stuff. Damage worth of value. Out of using them, breaking them up.
Yeah. We get our final Bowser interlude. Bowser has made it to Poshly Sanctum to steal the crystal star that is there, but the penguin detective says, "Aha, it's a fake," and then gives out why Mario is searching for these things. Yes, they're going to open the 1,000-year door. There's a great treasure behind it. Bowser has just basically been doing stuff for no reason, just because he's going after Mario. So now he finally goes, "Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, we have a goal now. Let's go."
Finally, a thing. Yeah. Mario finds Tech's room, and Tech is dying quickly. He tells us that Grotus took Peach to the 1,000-year door so they could get into the Shadow Palace behind it. Yeah. And he asks us to tell Peach that he loves her before dying. This is me being cynical. I'm sure other people feel this is probably a big tear moment in TV tropes. I was like, can you imagine feeling anything for this robot? Yeah. The base starts self-destructing, so you get out of there. We get back to Rogueport. Frankly comes in a panic saying, hey, Grotus opened the 1,000-year door, which was weakened, and took Peach inside.
Yes. Luigi is at the inn, and he tells us about the end of his adventure. Finally taking out the Chestnut King, but leaves out a ton of details. He's like, and then I attacked. Then he just bunch of dots, and I rescued the princess. Bunch of dots. Then don't worry about what happened to her. It's fine. And Bluey is there. He's just like, oh my god, what happened is amazing, but you got to get the full story from Luigi. Something's obviously going on here.
You do not get out.
No.
So we go to the 1,000-year door with Frankly. And place the last of the crystal stars. Opening the door, this is a portal, and we go inside to the final chapter, Chapter 8, the 1,000-year door.
Yeah.
Here.
And we're in the Shadow Palace. This is a huge dungeon that is a final exam for all of your partner's navigation field abilities, right? Getting past, spikes, spinning, flame chains. Around there, using Vivian to get to get to safety, blowing stuff, uncovering stuff with Flurry's breath, bunch of stuff like that, right?
Air stuff, shadow stuff, goblin schools, and a lot of individual set piece reprises that happen here. There's a reprise of the Dry Bones room from Hooktail's tower. You get around that, you reach this round tower. We use Bobbery to blow up some Chomp statues to get into pipes to activate these boat panels to cross a moat, similar to the pirate zone. And inside there are 3 floors with a lot of rooms off of them. Yeah. And we need this star-shaped gem to continue.
Right. You get this by continuing beyond the tower to the east until you run into a huge black dragon. This is Gloomtail. And Gloomtail is upset to learn that we have killed his sister, Hooktail, back in chapter 1.
Yes. I was losing my mind here, assuming I was just going to do a boss rush of all the bosses before.
Yep. I was like,
just
no.
I know these. I know these. So it's real similar. But he announces when he's charging up for this huge breath attack. So this is where Vivian can use your hide move right before you fire, which will avoid all the damage, which is really good. And with Gloomtail's Starstone, we can activate the top floor and reveal 8 key pedestals that we need to get to.
Yeah.
So we have to solve little puzzles and tasks in these rooms in order to put the keys in there.
Yeah.
And these are another kind of final exam for partner abilities, basically.
Yeah. Some of them are just like little puzzles like, oh, yes, you must continue, confidently, walk ever onward. It's just saying walk through the right door, walk through the right wall. It's illusory, right?
Yes. Yeah. Nothing too special, but again, kind of game design. Once you do this, we get to a new stairway deeper into the palace. We follow it and run into Frankly, who's acting really strange. And of course, this is Dupless. Working with the Shadow Sisters, they tricked us into opening the 1,000-year door for Grotus, who has now gotten ahead of us somehow.
Right. And then we have to fight them. Fight Beldam, Marilyn, and Dupless together. Beldam, it's really similar, except with Dupless subbed in for Vivian. Beldam will buff the others, make Marilyn hit really hard, and Dupless can copy your party members and their attacks.
I basically went back and forth between Vivian and Yoshi in this, but when I saw this happening, I actually reloaded a save to go into the fight with Vivian. Okay. Because I assumed there would be dialogue.
Yeah.
Like I wanted her to tell off her shitty sisters, and she does not.
No.
But that would have been cool.
It would have. But it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yep. You take them out. It's not too different from the first fight, but hard, reasonably hard, and get into the Shadow Palace lower floors.
Yeah. The navigation and platforming here is tougher. I didn't make like specific notes on it, but like there's a section where you have to, do like a little balance beam act. To walk along like a very narrow walkway. And the punishment for everything is dropping to a lower floor that is full of enemies and then going back to the beginning and trying again.
Yep. You do all this stuff until you eventually reach Grotus.
Yeah.
Who tells us his plan was to trick us into gathering all the crystal stars for him. You don't fucking say. How many times did that have to be communicated to me? I got like 6 emails about this. So letting us succeed, but guiding us.
Yeah.
Crump wasn't on the plan though. He was sacrificed.
Yeah.
Rip Crump.
So we fight Grotus now. Seems like it's going to be final boss kind of stuff. His trick is that he has these little X-shaped options that he will throw out every turn. When there are only 2 up, he throws them out 2 at a time. When he throws out 2, they will augment his attacks. But if he gets all 4 out, he's impervious. He doesn't. You can't do any damage to him. So you'll be perfectly fine as long as one of your attacks in a round is an attack all.
Yep. Yeah. This is Vivian's time to shine.
Yes.
So it seems like we've beaten him. He gets back up and says he's going to use Peach as the vessel for the Shadow Queen, awakening her and using her power to do his bidding. And he zaps us, but then Bowser falls on him, crushing him. Bowser shows up at the last little bit.
Yeah.
Here to help.
And we have to fight Bowser and Cammy while still weakened from the fight with Grotus. I like this. I like that it's a concept. It's very similar to what happened when Bowser barged in at the Glitz pit, but fine.
Yeah. It's fine. Like the Bowser fights in this are not the worst thing in the world. Weird trivia that, again, YouTube served me up about this, and I don't think this is true in the remake. Bowser is one of the only characters in the game, boss characters, that will potentially die to the kill all, like whatever the star ability is that like just ends the fight.
Oh yeah, like a showstopper or whatever it is.
Showstopper. Yeah, he's got like a 5% chance, or something like that. You can actually take him out with that, which is interesting. Yeah. Trivia: there are people who've dedicated their lives to this game.
Cool. Good on you.
If you dedicate anyone who dedicates their life to like one weird thing, I think that should be their job.
Yes. Yeah.
The world needs. I don't like this game very much, but the world needs that guy.
Yeah. Maintain that website. Just have the state pay you to do it.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
While we were distracted by Bowser, Grotus took Peach into the burial room. and he cackles, opens the sarcophagus, which causes the sky to darken all around the world as the Shadow Queen emerges and grabs Peach. Shadow Queen is cool.
Yep.
Elden Beast coated. Almost.
Yeah, like it's kind of monster lady shaped, but like there's no texture to her. Her texture is just like a night sky, purple with stars on it. Demerits, the world darkening. It doesn't just like show us like it darkens over Rogueport or whatever. We have to flash to every town with its own little loading screen to get a few different people remarking on how strange it is that it's dark in the middle of the day.
I was so curious to hear what Puny had to say about it being dark. Like this game has not underestimated my mania for Puny.
What's happening at the Bobbery Tree?
Yeah, exactly. What's happening in Arsh? Then the Shadow Queen inhabits Peach's body, changing her dress into an evil black version, like an evil dress. Turns into Black Queen. Grotus demands that she obey him, and she just zaps him until he's nothing but his little head.
Grim.
Do not call up what you cannot put down.
Right. And then Beldam shows up. Beldam turns out to be an agent of the Shadow Queen. Makes sense. She is also a shadow. And Beldam starts worshiping, saying, I did everything. I did everything to ensure that this revival happened. She's the one who all those years ago started spreading the rumors about the great treasure to get people to come to town and start looking for the stuff they needed to open this up. She's the one who found someone pure of heart to open the box with the map. Looped in the X-Nauts to start the hunt. This was all her.
This is the mastermind.
Yeah.
Of it. And the Shadow Queen says she will not kill us if we pledge ourselves to her service. If you agree, you of course get a game over, but I'm going to consider that to be a good alternate ending. Personally.
Yeah, it's like Dragon Quest 1, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. If you disagree, you get a 3-phase fight.
Yeah.
With her. And this is a tough fight. This is a good, tough fight, I think.
Yeah.
Here.
It's a good final battle. Right.
Yeah.
The first one is just against Dark Peach. Nothing too huge about it, except for the fact that she loves to buff herself. And to get over this, you can use Power Lift. So it's just like I need to generate enough. Yeah, I need to generate enough stars in order to keep the arms race going, so she does not obliterate me, and so I can do anything but scratch her. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you eventually do enough damage, she transforms back into her true form. This big purple shadow woman with Peach as the core. And we cannot do damage to her. We just have to survive for 3 rounds. We're just trying to survive in this game. It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Especially if you hit up the item shop for final boss shit.
Yeah.
And the final dungeon also loads you up with a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Then the crystal stars appear and channel power and support from everyone we helped along the way, because of course that's what's going to happen.
We need to have a spirit bomb, like the end of
friendship.
It's friendship.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy IV or Aria of Sorrow. Just give me another Grand Tour loading screen to everybody we have ever helped.
Yeah, wishing us well, which was great in Final Fantasy IV when I first saw it.
Oh yeah.
Again, just the idea of people tanking repeated tropes like that is so interesting to me.
Yeah,
Earthbound. I was really affected by that. Earthbound. I was really affected by it. Like the first time I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I did want to know what the people in Mysidia, how they'd help me. Like I liked it a lot. But it's old. It's like a dead trope.
Yeah.
And I realize this game is from 2004. But that's still late.
Yeah.
In the game. So Peach sacrifices the last of her power to finish the spell, seemingly dying. Then we cut to the funeral. And it's one of the darkest things I've ever seen in a Nintendo
game. Luigi throws himself onto the coffin like Leland Palmer.
Yep, it's an open casket too, and the sacrificing yourself to the Shadow Queen makes you rot, but not in a way we understand.
Yeah.
When Luigi tosses himself into the coffin, it's basically a slip and slide. And I'm like, now you're going to do an actually funny comedy beat? Not the time, Paper Mario.
Jeez.
No, it's actually, instead we just do the last phase of the fight.
Yes. But we can hurt her. Before we couldn't hurt her true form. Now we can. And kind of the trick to this is there's the Shadow Queen herself, and then there are her hands. You have to keep on attacking her hands to stop them from rising, because when they're up, that lets her do her strongest attacks. Yep.
So you're juggling them down.
Yeah.
When you eventually take her out, the Shadow Sisters run away, leaving Dupless behind. And we discover Peach is actually fine. She's just passed out.
Yeah.
Frankly brings in the treasure chest, figuring that must be the treasure of the rumors.
Yeah.
And we get our epilogue.
Yeah.
Here.
Everything is good. The ultimate evil has been vanquished.
Yes. Everyone sends us off at the harbor, giving their own little farewell, all of our companions. It's cute.
Yep.
On the boat, Peach says that she won't go off on her own as much anymore. Good.
Maybe not the lesson, but okay.
Yeah, not the lesson, but also, I mean, this is many years before she's going to go off into her theater adventure. Back at the house, months have passed, and Luigi's ready to go on another adventure. One of my favorite things that happens in this, that is just me bringing humor to this, is months pass, and we cut to Luigi and Mario sitting at a kitchen table staring at each other. And I like to think that whenever they're not doing adventure, that's what's happening.
Just alternately blinking.
Yeah. Because Mario doesn't talk, so Luigi could tell him more, but Luigi hasn't done anything since then, and they're just like Bender in the closet, like ready to small wonders, ready to be deployed.
There's at their little kitchen table, go ho.
Yep, just staring. We get an email from Goombella who updates us on the status of all our companions.
Yeah,
and everything worked out.
Yeah, people, like Coops wants to be the mayor of Petalburg. He's getting his life together. Flurry's back on the stage doing a production that is the story of us vanquishing the Shadow Queen, right?
Yep.
Yoshi's working his way up the ranks of the Blitz Pit. And something that's kind of a bummer, Vivian goes back to her sisters.
Yes. Initially, this got changed in a way I'm trying to remember. In this one, her sisters mellowed out. I think in the previous version, she was going to go try to change her sisters' minds. There's something there. It doesn't end with her curb stomping Beldam. Which is like, that's the righteous fury I wanted from this, was like, it's cool to have the end boss mastermind be a transphobe, but the sister forgiving her sucks. That was a bad taste in my mouth. I think. And then Bobbery and Miss Mouse just go back to whatever they're doing.
Yeah, whatever that is.
They didn't have an arc.
No.
Lord Crump and Grotus are still alive, even though the ladder is just ahead. And Goombella's research on the moon has revealed that Tech is still alive. Thank fucking goodness.
Yeah. So we're reading this and getting all the warm fuzzies, and then Peach comes into the house with Toadsworth saying, we were cleaning the castle, we found another treasure map. It's time for another adventure. And then, the image turns into an illustration. We're in the storybook, and the storybook closes and the credits run.
Yes.
And you can reload the save and go and do side stuff in Rogueport. If you go and talk to Goombella and Frankly, you find out that what was inside the treasure chest was just a dried mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The low value treasure.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door, a game that does so much right and so much wrong that it makes me feel crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there is an edit of this that is great. An edit and a rewrite. Like, having less writing would be a big start for this for me. I'm just speaking to my taste.
Yeah.
This with like better writing, like make this funny with this combat system and these designs, and you got a fucking stew going.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. It's like the you want to say the ingredients are here, but like you have what you need to make a cake, but like a few of the key ones, like the flour's gone off and the eggs are, I don't know, it's a bad metaphor.
Well, and there's just so much flour. It's like you have one egg and then like 70 pounds of flour.
Yeah.
And you can't make a cake with that.
No.
That's not a cake.
You make a kind of moist patch of flour a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not it's not enough. I'm a little bit disappointed for as much as this was talked up. I don't think I was holding its reputation against it. I came to this with affection for Paper Mario as a series. I think for both of us, we but like both of us are like, oh yeah, no, a new Paper Mario game sounds good. Yeah, because
like we don't usually do patron demands for console RPGs. Almost never. We've done it like twice.
Yeah.
And it's a real frequent request.
Yes.
When we say that, it's not like, I understand that's just 1 month out of the year, but like it comes up a lot. And we're saying, we don't really do that. Every once in a while we say yes. And the reason what got me over the hump of my dislike of this genre was that affection and its reputation.
Yeah.
Like when we did Paper Mario, the first one, many people were like, you have got to play the Thousand-Year Door. It's like 10 times better. And it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think so. And part of that is probably changing taste, but not all of it. I don't think that's completely to blame.
Yeah, I just, this came through, and thank you so much, Mitchell. I hope we didn't break your heart by being, harsh on this. I feel like we were appropriate. We just said how we felt. But like, this came through, and it's like, oh man, Paper Mario 1 was really fun when we covered it for the show. And I played the one right after this, Super Paper Mario, and I enjoyed that. Like based on those two data points, it seemed like this was going to be something that I would really enjoy.
Yeah. Two points make a line.
Yeah.
It's like, and what else are you going to decide, what to play based on? Like that's how you make decisions, right?
Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah.
And it's just a thing where it's not even like the ingredients are there. It's more that there are so many extra ingredients that like you can just sit there. If I was somebody who could just eat the frosting, and if the game made it easy for me to do that, like I could skip through dialogue, skip the parts I don't like, this would have been a lot more enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
It's just, you have your nose held down in the stuff. You don't get to skip the dialogue. There's a lot of it. It's just, I don't know, tons of missed potential.
Yep.
I
I feel like we laid out what the problem was. There's just so much stuff that is repeated and feels like it's not to the purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Made me sad. To play it. It's also a thing where like it didn't actually take all that long, but it felt longer than anything.
Yeah.
Which is always a bad sign. Like I don't know. Glad to have it behind me.
It's not very often. People might disagree with this, saying like, oh my gosh, you guys hate everything you play. It's not very often that a game falls into the valley where it's like, it's hard to get myself to play it for the show.
Yeah.
Right. I'm task oriented. When something needs to be done,
having a job is
sit
great.
down and do it. Yeah.
It's a blessing. Like knowing what you have to do and having it in front of you is like the best part of this job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, this job's a lot of great things about it, but I love that.
Yeah.
Like that's all I want out of life.
And I found it very hard to kind of get started on this one for all of the aforementioned reasons. So,
and again, when I compare it with other things we've done that we didn't feel good about, like I think about like the Sexy Brutale, right? Which is also a tale of missed opportunity, like of just not having enough. This and that, it wasn't the writing necessarily; it was the puzzles being very decoded, but being a game where it is half interesting, half not.
Yeah,
that was a thing. The thing that I've been harping on since the beginning of the show is the fact that games are the longest medium that exists matters.
Yes.
A boring movie or a movie that has one part of it work and not work is no problem.
Yeah.
A TV show like the first season of Westworld's great.
Yeah.
A lot of it, half of it doesn't work, but like, it's just, it doesn't feel like it takes eternity because it doesn't take it as eternity. Like we have to stop judging games the same way as we judge other mediums when they are 20 times as long.
Yeah.
You give up 20 times more of your life on Earth for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So onward
and upward. Next month or next week, we're doing our premium episode on Quake. If you already have, something to say about that, it's too late. I believe just about too late. Just about. Yeah. It's probably too late. The deadline is the 15th for every month. So it is not too late to write in about August's games, which are Super Baseball 2020 for the SNES, XCOM 2, The War of the Chosen, base game, and the expansion pack kind of wrapped up in there. That's going to be a two-parter. And then the premium episode for that month is going to be Fable 2. Yeah, which I'm excited about, a series I've never played. But I know of by reputation. Yep. If you are listening to this and you are a marginalized person and you have a project or product you would like us to boost, send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. We'd be happy to shout it out. Line is short right now. So include your pronouns, include kind of a short pitch, include all of that. Yep. And we'd be happy to do so. We would. Trying to think of other stuff. Ratings, reviews. Please join us in thanking our producer, Gwen. Thank you, Gwen, for helping us get these shows out. Yeah. And also leave ratings, reviews. And that's it. We appreciate you. What should they watch out for until next time? Until next time. Well, Gary, you're going to have to ask me that 100 more times before I answer it. What are we going to do until the next time? You're going to have to ask again. What should they do until the next time? Ask again. What should they do next time? Ask again. Ask again. Ask again. Ask again. Ask again. Ask again.